Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. And welcome to the show. We are so excited to have our Professional of the Year in Education joining us this morning, Dr. Jacqueline Boudria. Again, our Professional of the Year. Excited to speak to her to talk more about her career, her life, and of course, all she's doing to inspire the younger generation in her field. So first and foremost, welcome to the show. How are you today?
I'm doing great.
Great. And where do you hail from? Is it Wellington, Florida?
I'm in Washington, D.C. at the moment, but I do hail from Florida.
Beautiful. Well, excited to have you here. So first and foremost, I know you've been a teacher, a tutor, a content designer. You do a lot, right?
Yes.
If you don't mind, let me ask first and foremost your contact information. How could someone reach out to you?
So if someone wanted to reach out to me, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Facebook, and they would also be able to find me through my websites, the one being Jackie's Healing Hooves, LLC, and also Step by Step to Karma.
Beautiful. Well, let's get started and tell us a little bit about the work that you've done.
So most of the work that I've done has been involving special education and working with the students who are struggling the most to catch up in reading and with math, but also just general content areas. But outside of that, I also work with students on daily life skills, and I've broadened myself into the world of holistic medicine and bridging the two of those areas because there is such an overlap with special education and health needs.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. Where were you born and raised, and what inspired you to get into this field, get your doctorate and become all these amazing things like the teacher, the tutor, the content designer, and again, equestrian tutoring services as well?
So what actually led me down these many different roads and paths is that I was actually adopted at the age of 3 days, and I didn't know my birth family. I didn't know anything about it. I'm actually attending right now a rare disease conference to help advocate for people like myself who don't know their family history, end up with multiple rare diseases, and I see that trend in a lot of my students. So I was always fascinated with medicine and wanted to be in medicine, but I also felt the pull and desire to be in special education, and I felt a strong desire to help the students academically, and I felt like I really connected with that population in particular.
Wow. And where did you go to school? Tell us a little bit about your early education, if you don't mind.
So my educational upbringing, I went to all private schools. So I came from a very, Catholic-based upbringing. I have shifted into Buddhism and spirituality-based thinking, but I accept all forms of religion. I honor and respect all forms of religion, but my upbringing was largely Catholic and Christian-based, and that was something that has never left me, but I have moved away from it to a degree.
Oh, and let me ask you, now, what did you get your doctorate in specifically?
So the doctorate that I already have is reading education and an emphasis on special education.
And now let me ask, you're based out of, Wellington, Florida. The work that you're doing, let's get started and talk about, your time as a teacher, right? As a tutor, and where you've been working all these years, and then what led you to develop your own business?
So I had started a tutoring company and my own business back in 2014. And most of the people that were coming to me were in special education and or they had unique ideas of the world, or they needed so many different things that were not being offered in traditional schools. So I always found myself connecting with high schools that were alternative. High schools, I found myself working with private, public, and settings with students that had different ways of thinking, came from different backgrounds, and their parents were working many different hours and just simply didn't have the availability to work with them on a lot of the things that they needed to know because they were working so hard to provide an education for them. And at the end of the day, what I saw was that the health needs of these particular students also correlated with their academic needs. Wow. So that's what also interested me in branching off down that road that I also really wanted to be in, which was medicine. But I found myself needing holistic medicine more so than anything else. And these students responded really well to their holistic treatments that they were telling me about. So that's something that I've really tried to expand my own way of thinking and doing as a result of what they've brought to me.
Wow. Now let's talk about holistic medicine. Some people may not be aware of what that is, what it entails, and what the benefits are. Would you mind kind of giving us a little lesson in holistic medicine right now for those out there who may be interested?
So for those who are interested, it is not that you are taking away the traditional component of medicine, but what we are looking to do, especially at the conference that I am attending right now, what we're looking to do is to combine it so that patients are able to heal themselves from within alongside of providers who are caring for them in traditional means, but also expanding the range of treatment options that don't necessarily involve pills and treatments that someone like myself would never respond to because of the complexity of my own situation that I can attest to for myself. I just never responded to traditional means of medicine, and so I still work with traditional doctors, but they also work with me from the perspectives that they have, and they offer advice and guidance as I am becoming my own practitioner. But really what it is using all the things around us, such as herbs and supplements and different treatments like intravenous therapy, to heal yourself from within on your own accord and being your own advocate and having the education and knowledge to do so as opposed to being totally separate from the doctors. Everyone shares the reciprocal role of healing.
Wow. And can I ask about some of your own personal struggles and, what has led you to, of course, really discover the benefits of holistic medicine, if you don't mind sharing?
Sure. So what I discovered was that pills never were going to work for me. The traditional means and medicine just could not provide answers, and my case was not straightforward. I have rare diseases, three different forms of colitis, esophageal esophagitis, Hashimoto's, which is an autoimmune thyroid disease, and being that I was adopted, I was a very complex person to deal with for a traditional doctor, and most would just throw their hands up and say, I can't help you, and just, tell me it's in my head, get out of my office, you're wasting my time, and, I'm just one of those complex cases, one of many, and, for somebody who's used to a traditional answer, which is, here, I have a pill for you, I'm someone that's very hard to work with. Mm-hmm. And so some of the alternatives people are red light therapy, which seeks to heal you with the warmth and the energy that it gives off from the actual red light. There's coil therapy, Quantum University, where I'm getting my PhD in holistic medicine, can attest to the true benefits of being your own advocate and your own healer, alongside of those who are also trained not just in holistic medicine, but also their mission is to help align you with the best traditional providers.
Well, let me ask you this. We just have to take a quick commercial break here. So one more time before we take that break, remind us of all the ways we can reach out to you, please.
So you can find me on Facebook. You can find me on LinkedIn. And again, I have 2 different websites, but I am building both of my websites. So if it says under construction, you'll just have to forgive that portion. But Step by Step to Karma, Jackie's Healing Hooves, and also Equestrian Tutoring Services. Those are my 3 LLCs. And please remember, anything that I make for those companies, it does not go to me. It goes to all my friends and my inner circle community of riders who also suffer from all these different rare diseases. And I look to help them because they are nonprofits and they need the monetary financial means more than I do. So everything I do is for them.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for this. All right, Dr. Jacqueline Boudria, she's here as our Professional of the Year, inspiring so many. And we're going to talk about who inspired her. I believe it was Dr. Myers. We're going to talk more about that and, of course, the work she's doing to help you. And we ask you to stay tuned. We'll be right back with more.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. Dashboard light problems? We can help. Our free Fix Finder service can read your check engine light, ABS light, and service indicator light, and give you possible solutions, verified by licensed technicians. You'll even get detailed results sent straight to your email so you have them when you need it most. It's the most complete free warning light report backed by technician-verified fixes. The free Fix Finder service, only at AutoZone.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
More details at AutoZone.com.
If you are the new parent of a baby out of wedlock, you're probably freaking the heck out. We remember how stressful it was when we had unexpected children with people we did not want to marry. After spending tens of thousands on legal battles that dragged on for years, eventually we learned the hard way what works and what doesn't in the real world. I'm Jim Braz, co-author of the award-winning book, Baby Out of Wedlock. We help unmarried mothers and fathers get their questions answered, improve co-parenting relationships, and avoid nasty legal battles that cost a fortune. Go to babyoutofwedlock.com to learn more.
If you have unfiled taxes or are in debt to the IRS, this is important news. The IRS just rolled out a new program to help struggling taxpayers more easily resolve their tax problems. It's called the Taxpayer Relief Initiative, and it opens up powerful new options for people looking to get back on the right track with the IRS. And no one knows this program like the professionals at Optima Tax Relief, America's most trusted tax resolution company. They've resolved over $1 billion in tax debt for their clients and have the expertise and experience to help you. One easy call to Optima can start the process, helping to put an end to your worries of wage garnishment, asset seizure, and other aggressive IRS actions. Make today the beginning of your fresh start with the IRS. Call the experts at Optima Tax Relief now for your free confidential consultation.
Call 800-386-9945. 800-386-9945. 800-386-9945.
Optima Tax Relief.
Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com. Jay Farner here, CEO of Rocket Mortgage and Rocket Companies. Last year, we saw historically low mortgage interest rates. What you may not know is that interest rates are already starting to increase, and it's likely that trend is only going to continue. Our team of experts is standing by to help you save before rates go up. Don't look back and wish that you had taken action. Call 833-8ROCKET or visit rocketmortgage.com.
Rocket.
Call for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender licensed in all 50 states and MLSConsumerAccess.org number 3030.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the mytuner-radio, online radio box, and simpleradio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com, or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Welcome back to the show. We are excited to have Dr. Jacqueline Boudria joining us here and learning about her own personal journey and, of course, how she's helping so many in the education field and with her tutoring service company as a tutor and also, working with those to help with holistic medicine. We're excited to have her back here. So could I ask you about Dr. Myers? Who was that? And tell us a little bit about the backstory there for the inspiration.
So Dr. Myers has been a long-time friend. Quite honestly, if it was not for Dr. Myers, I would not have gone into this journey that I'm on right now. He really motivated me during some of the toughest times in my life, and he was the one person, aside from my mother, that never, ever, ever gave up on me, always believed in what I was doing and the purpose of everything that I was doing for other people like myself and the students. And he was one of my colleagues at a college in the Bronx, the College of Mount St. Vincent, now the University of the People, a beautiful, lovely, small college focused on majority of my students and a really lovely place for students to come and feel at home. I started working there as an adjunct many years ago, and I was there for about 4 to 5 years. In that time, I also did faculty technology training because at the time that I was there, they were shifting to online learning. That was something that was quite new to the college, being that it was so small. And so I had published and presented a manual on how to get into online learning, where to start, and how to get your platform up and running. And from the very moment that I met Dr. Meyer, he was the kindest soul who always had the smile that makes you light up a room, and always came and asked me how things were going with my doctorate, wanted to participate in my doctorate, and offered to help with different things that I wasn't familiar with when it came to doing a terminal degree. And we have always remained in touch. He has not been teaching in 2 years, but in the years that I've known him, he's always been a kind-hearted person who always pushes all of his students to do their best. He's always a firm believer that you can always do more than you see yourself doing. And he was the one person that always pushed me to do even more for those that I was surrounding myself with, because he knew that I was advocating on many different levels for the students who came in with exceptional needs, or those that were gifted and weren't being challenged, or those that were just sitting on the sidelines because they were not sure how to start. You know, they would come into college and they didn't have a clue about how to make a timeline, how to get things done, because they just had too many things going on, and it was their only source of community. So they just didn't understand how to do things at a college level. So he was the person that I always saw helping others, and I wanted to be like that.
Yeah. Well, I'm, thankful and grateful you're here, excited to hear your story and your journey, and your most proudest accomplishment and achievement is getting this doctorate. Is that correct?
Yes, that is my biggest accomplishment, because when I was writing my doctorate, I was undergoing a brain surgery at the time that I was writing my final 2 chapters. And, I did call Dr. Myers after I had the surgery, but before I even had the surgery, I sat for 2 weeks in the hospital with probes on my head, and, as you can imagine, 10 pounds of wiring on your head is a very painful thing. And the thing that kept me going was knowing that my doctorate was what I was looking forward to getting, and I also was doing it so that hopefully one day I could be the next Dr. Meyer, that next person helping that student that came for, who had no idea what they should be doing and just needed some extra guidance and help and support.
Wow. Well, thank you for sharing that. And did you want to give us some more specifics about the work you're doing and how you can help our listeners here today specifically?
So what I'm doing is researching a lot about rare diseases and the correlations between my students that have different types of diseases and the different academic struggles, and whether or not there's anything specifically that would be beneficial to them. And also, someone like myself, what can I do to make sure the parents can be involved? If they have multiple jobs and they can't come into the school building, what can I do to make sure that whether it's a language barrier that currently, how do I get rid of that barrier, and how do I help to make sure that, academically and medically, all the people I'm working with, either privately or with the school system, can access the appropriate information to get the resources they really need.
Well, thank you for sharing this, and we're excited that you're here. You mentioned you're in D.C. right now, and for some conference. Would you mind sharing? Is it work-related?
So this is work-related, but this is also something that every year I go to a large conference, and it is through a group called NORD, the National Organization for Rare Diseases. So this is their summit conference, and it's in Washington, D.C. And what their theme is this year is linking patients with providers and breaking those barriers, getting rid of the barriers, and helping to make sure that whether it's pediatrics or young adults or older adults, that everyone has access to the education that they need on both ends, and also empowering the patients so they're not just left out on the side, but also that they can be their own advocates by knowing what's going on, not relying simply on the providers.
Got it. Well, this is, amazing work you're doing, and we are so proud that you're here joining us today, and just want to congratulate you one more time on being our Professional of the Year in Education. And let's also just point out, if someone's interested in working with you, whether it's the equestrian tutoring services, right? How do we do so, Jackie?
So the students that I generally work with, they will either contact me directly. Sometimes they come to me through one of the school districts. Other times they will find me through social media.
Okay.
But the long-standing students that I have, they also find me on other platforms that I've joined so that I'm more visible to them.
Got it. Well, thank you so much. Pleasure having you here. Excited to work with you, and best of luck with the rest of this conference. And hopefully we will speak again. And I really appreciate your time here today, and just, again, want to congratulate you.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me.
Well, thanks for being here. And to all of our listeners, don't forget Dr. Jacqueline Boudria, reach out to her, tell her we sent you, and looking forward to the next time we connect. And again, holistic medicine. She's here to help so many. So reach out. Have a great day.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Not completing high school is more of a social thing than it was an academic thing. I came out in the 11th grade. Nobody was embracing you. The kids were cruel. It was very difficult to be gay. Even though all these years have passed, I still had that longing to have my diploma. The hard part was determining that I was going to do it, but I definitely didn't do it alone.
At age 30, with the help of her mentor, Carissa finished her high school diploma.
I have a mentor, Maria. She convinced me to continue my education and to finish what I started to get my diploma. Just never judges. She's a true role model. If you're even considering getting your high school diploma, go get it. You can do it.
No one gets a diploma alone. If you're thinking of finishing your high school diploma, you have help. Find free adult education classes near you at finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org. Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ad Council.